Hello and welcome everybody to the qualifier weekend. I'm Paul Cheon and we got some booster packs in front of us. I actually woke up and realized that I can actually play in this event and well, here's the thing. So I'm qualified already for Arena Championship 8. I believe this also feeds into Arena Championship 8, but I have the option to play in it. And if I do play in it, I can win tens of thousands of gems. So I am going to play in this event despite the fact that I have a qualification because I feel like if they wouldn't allow me to do it, then I wouldn't have the option to do so. So here I am. So let's open some boosters and see where things go. Now, before I open these boosters, I just wanted to say that this video is brought to you by tcgplayer.com. Check out tcgplayer.com for all your TCG singles and sealed product needs. Whether you need a booster box or singles, make sure you check them out and click that affiliate link in the description below before making any purchases. Additionally, check out heavyplay.com for premium Magic the Gathering supplies and accessories. If you need top-of-the-line deck boxes, playmats, sleeves, dice boxes, and more, go to heavyplay.com/paulcheon and get 10% off your first order. All right, here we go. Well, you know what? With my luck with Foundation Sealed, I won't even pick up very many wins, given how things have been going. But I did open a Chandra Flame Shaper. That's obviously amazing. There's a Solemn Simulacrum to ramp into it. I'm not a big fan of Time Stop, but there's some promise here. So let's take a look at what we can build out of this pool that we have. Okay. Starting things off here, we have white, usually one of the deeper colors. There's Healer's Hawk, a Johnny's Pridemate's Fine, there's Giada, a couple of Helpful Hunters, Resolute Reinforcements, Banishing Light. If I want to be really aggressive, Dauntless Veteran is also fine. All right, so again, white just has tons of playable cards, which makes a lot of sense. All right, moving on to blue, what do we have? Elementalist Adept, Double Refute, which I do like in Seal deck a good amount. The Buccaneer, I'm not a huge fan of Time Stop, but I guess it can be playable. And look, I'm sorting this as we go. Black is also one of the better colors here. Let's see what black has to offer. Oh, I can't sort it, never mind. We have Double Burglar Rat, which I do love in Seal deck a lot. There's a Vampire Nighthawk, Bacon to a Pie, Triple Tragic Banshee. Don't really like any of these other cards. Moving into red, I'm really hoping that red is deep enough because I have the Chandra. I really want to try my best to play the red. Let's see. There's a Burst Lightning. Good Double Thriller possibility. It's not looking good. Wow, our red looks so bad. Do I need to find a way to play the Chandra? Because, man, our red does not look very good. Moving into green, we have a Llanowar Elves, a Loot, a couple of Elsewhere Giants, and an Affectionate Indrik. Okay, so green doesn't look that great either. And then for lands, we have an Evolving Wilds and some lands. There's a couple of Grow from the Ashes and a Burnished Heart if I really want to slow things down. And then there is, notably, a Dreadwing Scavenger, which is quite nice if I decide to go into blue-black. So let's clean things up a little bit here and see where we're at. This is a really interesting pool just because I do feel like I have a decent number of playables in every color. Notably, I feel like red might be my weakest color. I do have Chandra and Burst Lightning, which really stand out, and they're both very, very good. But outside of that, we have what? A couple of Thrills, a Cerberus, which is fine. Courageous Goblin, which I only really want to play if I have a bunch of big creatures. So if I'm in red-green specifically, I can see playing that card. And then the Firebrand Archers are quite bad. Goblin Surprise is okay, and the Sower of Chaos is also pretty mediocre. So maybe there's a red-green deck that we can put together that harnesses the power of the Chandra because it is by far the best card that we have in our deck. Looking at a lot of the other colors, if you look at green, it's not particularly exciting. There's a Loot, an Affectionate Indrik, and a Llanowar Elves, and then everything else is kind of mediocre. Grow from the Ashes, maybe a little bit better in Sealed deck and does allow us to play more colors. And then Bushwhack also gives us good mana fixing. But, you know, Dwynen's Elite is certainly not especially good here. And yeah, like, it just... green looks fine. It looks fine. But that's kind of how I feel about most of my colors. I do like my black a fair amount, though, I will say. Black gives us access to Bacon to a Pie, Vampire Nighthawk, which is premium, Triple Tragic Banshee, which I do think is quite nice. And especially if I do play the double Hungry Ghoul to go into my deck, which I will, to go with the double Burglar Rat and the Infestation Sage and Fake Your Own Death, I think this is a really, really nice package that gives us access to 2-for-1s, removal effects, and a nice evasive flyer, and a really good curve. So I feel like it's in my best interest to play black. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this gives us 11 black cards. I think I like almost all of my black cards. They work really well together. So that's something that I'm looking at here. So if that's the case, what do I want to do? What do I want to pair my black with? Okay, so black right now with the double Hungry Ghoul, there's a little bit of a sacrifice theme going here, especially with the Tragic Banshee. So we could look at some things that help me with the sacrifice stuff. Now, noting that red doesn't really have any sacrifice cards, I just have the Chandra at the top end of my mana curve, right? Looking at blue, blue looks like it's a pretty decent support color, and the big thing, if I play blue, is I get access to Dreadwing Scavenger. Consuming Aberration is simply just fine. It's probably better in sealed than it is in normal draft, but Scavenger is really what you're going to be going after. And then you take a look at the other cards. Refute is good, right? Refute is good. Big Fin Bouncer is good. High Fate Trickster is fine. Not insane. In sealed, I do like the Icewind Elemental and the Uncharted Voyage. Skyship Buccaneer is good, and the Strix Lookout's also fine. So that's looking like it's setting up for a pretty solid blue-black control deck. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 with 11 cards here. That's 21. We play the Solemn Simulacrum. That's 22. And then we probably play one of these cards here on the left. So that looks like it can be a pretty decent deck. But what else is there? There's also the black-red deck. And you know what? I can't not try to make a deck that has Chandra in it. So let's first build the black-red deck here, because I do feel like I want to play black. Black seems really strong. So I want to pair it with red. I do like the combination with blue. I think green is probably just the weakest here. And moving into white, it's got a couple of Helpful Hunters, which is nice. I don't think my deck's going to be aggressive enough for Dauntless Veteran. I'm not a big Armor Sorcerer Guide fan. There is Mischievous Pup, which goes really well with double Helpful Hunter, double Burglar Rat. I do like Dazzling Angel. The Banishing Light's also nice. Resolute Reinforcements is pretty good if you're doing the sacrifice thing with the Hungry Ghouls, and it's not bad with Fake Your Own Death. Geode is fine. Johnny's Pridemate is okay. I do have a Healer's Hawk as well. So black and white also looks like it could be a fine combination of cards. So let's take a look at all of these. I'm going to start things out here with the black-red deck just to see what it looks like to have Chandra in your deck. So this is what a black-red deck looks like here. Splashing the blue here for the Dreadwing Scavenger and the Consuming Aberration. It's nice to actually have Campus Guide in this deck, because with Campus Guide, an Island, and an Evolving Wilds, and a Solemn Simulacrum, that gives us potentially 4 blue sources. I think Firebrand Archer with this few number of spells is probably the worst creature here, and I have enough 2s. So this is a configuration. This is a configuration. The Courageous Goblin's not great, but we do have the Burst Lightning. You have Double Thrill of Possibility to kind of dig for the Chandras. We have some interaction. We have Goblin Surprise, which isn't particularly strong here, but just another play, I suppose. And I mean, if you just look at the red cards, it really is Chandra and Burst Lightning and bust, right? Nothing, these cards here are all kind of below the bar, and it's really just a matter of us deciding whether or not that's okay. Is it worth it to play this collection of cards so that we have Chandra at the top end of the curve and really rely on Chandra to win all of our games? Or should we just try to play a more streamlined configuration? So now I'm going to look at the blue-black deck and see if there's even a world where I can splash to Chandra. So this is the Grixis deck. I have an Evolving Wilds here, and I do need to cut some cards to make this deck work. Something along these lines. It's really heavy. We have a bunch of 5-mana plays. You know, with Vampire Nighthawk, double Refute, bake into a pie, I just feel like the mana is an absolute disaster in this deck, and it's just not going to work. And I thought blue and black would look better, but this doesn't actually look that strong. It looks okay. It looks okay, but I just feel like red is just out of the question here, and our deck would look something like this. Maybe we cut the Campus Guide if that's the case. And, you know, this looks totally fine, but the curve is not quite as good as I'd like. But of course, curve is not as important in sealed. So this is a configuration, bunch of Tragic Banshees, Dreadwing Scavenger, some counter spells. You know, we have enough interaction, and this is playing a nice control game. So now the last thing I want to look at is the black-white deck, which I often go, and it looks like it looks like a pretty good deck, but let's see what it actually looks like. All right, this is the final configuration of the deck. I have a Tranquil Cove and an Evolving Wilds and an Island, so the mana fixing is definitely good for a potential Dreadwing Scavenger splash. And even the Consuming Aberration, if that's what I wanted to do. We have a gazillion 2-drops with this configuration, an actual million. But here's the thing. Let's just say I cut the blue, right? Even if I look at it like this, what exactly is this deck trying to do, right? And that's the issue with black-white. It kind of has an identity problem, but you're getting value off Burglar Rats and Helpful Hunters. You can get some value by bouncing it with the Mischievous Pup. But then what? Do I have enough ways to get value out of sacrificing these cards? Well, the nice thing is I also have Goldvein Pick, which I can use to grow these. All of these creatures are good with Fake Your Own Death. And then when these creatures trade, that allows me to trigger my Tragic Banshee. Having a good curve works well with the Felidar Savior. Now, will this deck feel underpowered? That is also the question. And I'm not entirely sure. Also, this deck could be a deck that has a relatively low curve, and with double Helpful Hunter, I can certainly see a world where I play 16 lands with this configuration. But this deck has by far the best curve. We are a little bit light on spells, but we just curve out nicely, and then we have a really creature-heavy deck, which works very well with the Tragic Banshee. So this, I think, is on the table, just because the deck looks pretty solid. So we have black-white, we have blue-black, and then possibly black-red as the other color combinations. And it's like, do I just play the Chandra? Or do I find a way to play the Scavenger? There's just a lot of big questions here. You know what? I've been spending way too much time going back and forth. I'm going to play the blue-black deck. I just feel like it's got the best late game. Sealed goes a little bit longer. We still have an okay curve. I get to play the Scavenger on curve. And I feel like this has enough tricks and interaction where I can potentially outplay my opponents. This was really tough. Black-white had a better curve, but for whatever reason, I feel bad about doing black-white. And I have drafted black-white a lot. Excuse me, I've played a lot of black-white and sealed, and I went 0-16. So I'm going to try to do something different this time around. All right, now before round 1 starts, I just wanted to say that if you've been enjoying this content and wanted to support the channel in another way, my Patreon is the best way to do so. That's patreon.com/paulcheon, and I do want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you so much for your support. Access to the Patreon does give you access to my Discord channel, which I do believe is a really great way to up your limited game. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because there's slightly less stakes for me, but I just feel like I'm going to have more fun drafting the blue-black deck, and it feels better, despite the fact that the curve is a little higher. I just think Refute in Seal deck is incredible, because everybody's playing their bombs, and it's just so important to have all the good answers. I could have splashed white for... Vanishing Light, but with my mana being so bad, I just didn't want to mess that up. I had double blue cards and double black cards, so like I said, I just didn't want to go down that route. Blue-green, that's really interesting. Nope. Don't need the island there, and I'm just going to play this out. Obviously, you want to get value off the Banshee, but I just don't foresee myself being able to do that. And if they don't kill my Banshee, I can Bouncer and just really tempo them out. Huh. I mean, we get to chunk in for 5. Sure, they get to loot again, but if we kill the Icewind Elemental, that just gets in for so much. Oh. Well, that's extremely annoying. That having the 3/3s just line up so well with what I have. All right, I'm going to keep this island in my hand because I have looting effects, but I will pass. And this is why I went blue-black. instead of black-white, just because I feel like a lot of decks look like what my opponent's doing. Games go a little bit longer, and I do feel like the blue-black deck is better set up for going into the late game. I have more counter spells, I have more card draw, more 5-drops. That's what I want to do. Yeah, Meteor Golem, exactly. All right. We'll just do that so that we can run out the other Tragic Banshee here and kill the 3/3. All right. We are kind of out of action. We went for the tempo line in bouncing the Icewind Elemental, and it is definitely not working out in our favor. They are getting the extra loot here. Wish I had a big card draw spell in blue, but like I said, I have a bunch of looting effects. Them discarding Think Twice is probably not a good sign here. I'm happy trading the Banshee for the Icewind Elemental here, just because then the High Fate Trickster can get in. And I'm going to play out the Trickster here and just try to ambush the Guarded Air. Wary Thespian, okay. I think my opponent built a really solid seal deck with what they had. I like the splash for the Guarded Air as well. Wow, they have a counterspell here? That's really annoying. It seems like they do, right? Okay. What you got for me? I just don't see that many combat tricks that they can have. That's really good here. I could see maybe Runaway Together. If they want to bounce the Guarded Air and bounce my High Fate Trickster, that's an option. Wow, all their creatures just come into play and do something. Other than, I guess, well, almost all of them. All right, Peter, make a move. Sure. All right, we'll take 3 here. If I can find a... Well, let's see. This is actually really interesting. Because... Wait. I assume it's on top. Another Tragic Banshee would be amazing. Evolving Wilds is not amazing. I mean, my game plan here is now just in the sky, so let's go attack with the High Fate Trickster. I just don't think it's good to kill the Thespian here. I think I'd rather use Bacon to Pie to kill the Icewind Elemental. I'm going to play the Evolving Wilds to thin out my deck. I still have a card in my hand to loot away, and they do have a Think Twice. So they have double Think Twice. Man, I love their deck. And honestly, their deck is really good at going into the late game as well. It gets a ton of value. It's probably a little bit light on interaction, but it's really hard for me to kind of grind what they're trying to do. So my game plan, like I said, is just kind of going all in here on my flyer. They're going to keep the Icewind Elemental back now. So let's go ahead and crack this. Get the swamp. Turned it into a piece of pie. Crack the food. Let's attack with the Trickster. They're at 2, and they need to find an answer for my flyer. They have the Think Twice and 2 cards in hand. And like I said, we're kind of all in on this Trickster. We can play the Solemn Simulacrum at instant speed, which is pretty good. If they attack me with the Wary Thespian, it's actually really interesting because I don't know that I want them to actually surveil and then draw a card off the Think Twice, because that digs them deeper into trying to find an answer to my High Fate Trickster. It looks like an interactive spell, though. They're looking at my High Fate Trickster. Fleeting Distraction. Okay, so they're digging. They are digging. You know, instances like this, my opponent always gets there. Let's miss! Let's miss! No flyer? No flyer. Come on, no flyer. Just explode already. Oh, okay, no, that's still not enough. That is still not enough. That is still not enough. What you got for me? Okay, let's play... I want to leave up blue, blue, black in case I draw a Refute off the Simulacrum. How do I want to block, though? That's the question. I guess now that they've drawn their card, I can block here and here. And this lets me find something off the Simulacrum. I can draw a Refute here, which would be really nice. And the thing is, I still have 2 lethal attackers this way. So it's going to be pretty tough for them. Right? They're at 4 life and I have 2 lethal attackers. Wow! Oh my gosh, if I played the land... Oh my gosh. What a disaster! Oh. Playing out the Solemn... Did I keep the land in hand that turn? I don't know. But that is so bad. And I drew my 11th land. This is rough. I'm all in on the Trickster. Basically, I'm trying to avoid my High Fate Trickster getting bounced by... or getting killed by a Banishing Light. Are you kidding me? Look, this is just how my games play out in this format. It really is. This is... I mean, granted, my opponent actually played really well. But they were able to find a bounce effect, and I ran out the Solemn Simulacrum. I guess I didn't have to, but... I mean, that's a huge hindsight decision. And let's see. They drafted... They have a nice... value control deck. I wonder if Time Stop is playable against that deck. Just because their deck is very, very slow. And if I just want to play a bunch of counters. There's also Chandra. But that's probably going a little bit too deep. Alright, I'm going to cut some of the aggressive elements of my deck. So let's cut the Adept and the Infestation Sage. And let's bring in the Tranquil Cove. Let's cut a Swamp. Actually, yeah, let's cut a Swamp. Let's add a Plains. And then let's add a Banishing Light. And then let's add Time Stop. Oh man, every time I play Foundation Sealed, it's just a lesson in tiltology. Gotta keep this hand. Island Swamp, double Refute. Actually, I don't even know if Banishing Light's that good in this matchup. It's just another removal spell, but did they even have anything that's really worth killing with Banishing Light? Maybe I just didn't need to bring that in. Maybe I go Burnished Heart plus Time Stop. Or maybe on the play I do the black-white aggro thing. I just don't think the black-white... You know, the issue with the black-white deck is it just didn't feel like it had enough to just tempo people out. Or just get aggressive enough starts. But I feel like maybe I want another blue source over the Plains. If I draw the Plains, I'll be pretty sad here. Elementalist Adept. Okay. I guess our hand doesn't really cast anything. It's a very controlling hand, but the problem is I didn't have the second blue for the Refute. So now, if I don't draw a land, I just don't do anything. But our opponent just didn't show a very impressive curve, and of course now they do. But it's not like... Of course they go 2-drop, 3-drop. Yep, yeah, this is rough. What spell would you even cast here? Oh, sure. Yep. Alright. I need a land pretty badly. Alright, you know what? Yeah. I got nothing. I got nothing. Well, we have to win a lot of matches in a row. And you know what? Maybe this is karma, because I'm here playing for gems. Other people are trying to play in the qualifier. Maybe this is just what we deserve. But I feel like I'm supposed to keep that hand. I'm not sure. All right, I'm not going to lie. A little surprise. A little surprise. We're going with option B. I came up with all these justifications for not playing this, but now I just feel, after what happened in that last one, I just kind of want to curve out and beat people up. So we're gonna try that this time. It doesn't matter what we play. It doesn't matter what we play. By the way, I'm playing 16 lands with a campus guide. It's mulligan. Wow. Okay, I'll keep. I don't want to go to 5, but this hand is pretty bad. We're splashing the Dreadwing Scavenger. I have the 1 island in my deck. Ooh. I mean, to be fair, that's about as good of a top deck as I can hope for. I'm going to need a lot more good top decks to have a chance here. Let's play out the rat. I feel like if I play the Goldvein pick, it's pretty likely they set up a situation where they try to kill my Hawk. So I'd like playing the pick as a 3-mana play more often. Burglar Rat. Okay, we can discard the Swamp. That is really interesting, using Fake Your Own Death on the Burglar Rat, but I think I'd rather just use the Goldvein pick. I'm happy just eating the rat here if they try to deny me a treasure. But this allows me to get in for an extra point of damage, which I don't mind. I'd rather deal an extra point of damage than gain an extra life, I think. But I do think it's reasonably close. Ooh, well that works well together. Wow, what the hell? What the hell was this? All right. Doing this here to get the last card out of their hand. Ooh, got the bite down here. And now, do I move this or do I keep up the Mischievous Pup? I think I just move it. Let's gain the life and pass. So they're on 3 lands, but wow, they played out a bunch of stuff on 3 lands. We're going to take a good chunk of damage, but the Healer's Hawk will do some decent work here. Now we can play Campus Guide, fail to find with this. And then I have so much mana, I can just move the pick here just to have better blocks. I guess I'm okay trading the Campus Guide for a Dwynen's Elite. It's fine. Hungry Ghoul. Okay. Alright, I am actually going to play this out here. And I will pick up the Burglar Rat. They have 1 card in hand, so it seems like it's fine, and I don't have that many expensive cards in my deck anyways. They have a green mana available too. There's not too much you can do off of a green mana. Felidar Savior is nice, but I'd rather Burglar Rat here. Woof. Well, that is a good expensive card. Gets in for a good amount of damage, and then if I do make the treasure, I can still move the pick over to my Burglar Rat. And this makes it so that their Burglar Rat can't just trade with my pup. And given all the piece of the material they have on the battlefield, I think I'm okay trading my Mischievous Pup for the Hungry Ghoul. A Goldvein pick is doing a decent amount of work here, I will say. Here, I don't think I want to go for the trade on the Dwinen's Elite if they want to attack. They really shouldn't be looking to be that aggressive here. Only because I have this Felidar Savior. Let's attack. Happy enough with the double block there. And I'm going to keep this treasure around because it allows me to play the Tragic Banshee. Let's go ahead and play it out. Wow, this deck played out pretty well, I will say. We drew extremely well. Alright, so they are on an aggressive deck as well with a bunch of token makers and burglar rats and stuff. So Resolute Reinforcements is a consideration. But I kind of just like this setup as well. The only thing is Campus Guide is in here because I'm playing 16 lands. 16 lands plus Campus Guide with Dreadwing Scavenger seems okay. But because they have a bunch of random like X1s, it does make cards like the Campus Guide a little bit worse. And makes cards like the Resolute Reinforcements a little bit better. So I do think I will make that a swap. Especially on the draw, I think we can still get away with the 16 lands here. And I have double Helpful Hunter, which helps me find mana sources as well. And I don't have to play the Scavenger on 3. Like, our lands by themselves give us 3 mana sources, and then we have healer. We have the Goldvein pick and Solemn Simulacrum. Gonna keep this hand. Turn 2 Helpful Hunter or Hungry Ghoul, depending on what they play. Burglar Rat. We will discard the Swamp. And we immediately draw a Swamp. I guess I'll play the 2/2 here. And the next turn, before I play a land, I'm going to run out the Helpful Hunter. Oh, wow, nothing. Just because I can draw a tap land. Okay. I have double black cards, so I'll play out the Swamp. If they play another Burglar Rat, I can discard the Plains. And if they play Seeker's Folly, I want to discard both Plains. So I think it's fine revealing that I have a blue card in my deck. I guess Fake Your Own Death would be kind of annoying. Just no reason to attack there. Alright, Infestation Sage. Alright, what do I do now? I think the Hungry Ghoul can attack now. Yep. Okay. Now the question is, do I want to kill the Flyer? Or the Vengeful Blood Witch? And I think it's just to kill the Vengeful Blood Witch. I don't really care about them hitting me with a Flyer, right? And I'd rather just be able to prevent all the drain effects. And the reason why I didn't play this first, yeah, they got mana screwed, is that I could have, I had the Hungry Ghoul, right? I'm gonna play this to give myself a little bit extra fodder for the Hungry Ghoul. I mean, this felt like they had Fake Your Own Death previously, but we'll see what happens. See, you can't just cast fake your own death. You can't just cast fake your own death. Or, sorry, you can't just... I mean, I guess they missed the land drop. But you just good game me and then you just keep playing and have plays. You know what I mean? I don't appreciate this. You know what I mean? Just don't appreciate it, man. Burnished Heart. All right. Well, we got one. Put it on the board, okay? Put it on the board. And you know what that means? We got some gems. Boom. Wait, what was the jump? From 500. We made 500 gems. We're now playing for 1,000 gems. Let's keep it going. Oh, wow. Q fired right away. Q fired right away. Play first, certainly. It is a hand of magic cards. It's not the most impressive thing in the world, but it curves out nicely. You know, I really didn't want to play the Campus Guide with the Dreadwing Scavenger. If I had some other strong play... If I had 2 more playables that I liked in black and white, I would have probably just stayed the course, but I didn't. So that's why I as my last couple of cards, I chose to go with the highest upside play of Campus Guide plus the Dreadwing Scavenger. I'm not even sure, like, what do you like there? Ghoul versus Pridemate. I have a Gainland, I guess. But well, all these lands are certainly not great. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm glad I played the white, I guess. We get to kill the Sylvan Scavenging. But now they have a Horn Beetle, and I don't have much I can do. I have the Katana. Maybe I should just play the Katana, just because my curve... I just have so many creatures. So that's a consideration, right? I could go something like 16 lands, Resolute Reinforcements plus the Katana. I've almost never ever played the Katana, but I just have to look at things within the context of my own deck. And because I'm so creature heavy and because I have so few ways to push through damage, it might be good to just play the one copy to go with my my other equipment. And then now we draw this. All right. Let's play Giada. Play Campus Guide. Let's go get that island. This is not suspicious at all. Tatiova. Ugh, gross. Okay, well, we did find bacon to a pie. And I don't think I want to trade Hungry Ghoul plus Creature for one of these. Oh, no. Tatiova plus Horn Beetle. That is rough. Well, the nice thing is we have the control deck as an option if our opponents are playing kind of slow decks to try to go long, right? But if I'm on the play, I feel like I still just want to be aggressive. And then on the draw, I can probably change into my blue-black deck, just because I feel like it's close enough. Well, my ground creatures are totally useless. I mean, they clearly have something. You don't just attack with the Horn Beetle like that with all that mana up, so... Huh. Always loot, as they say. Oof. That is a tricky one. Do I want a little flyer, or do I want the card from the Helpful Hunter? Obviously, I'm keeping Bacon to a Pie. I think I want the card from the Helpful Hunter. And I'm gonna... Hopefully they play something. And I'm gonna go for Bacon to a Pie on Tatiova. And then if they have a counterspell, like, it at least taps all their mana for their turn. It felt like it could be an Uncharted Voyage, I guess. And if that's what they have, sure. I feel like they should have been using that on my Scavenger, maybe. Alright, Tatiova down. That means our Ajani's Pridemate has the potential to be a larger creature here. What the hell? Okay. Sure. Oh, you know what this could be, though? I just realized. Maybe this was bad. This could be a Tragic Banshee. Because there's a swamp in play. So this could very easily be a Tragic Banshee. That was such a wild attack, given the board here, right? There's no sweeper that they can play. Wow, it's just the Dwinin. And a Llanowar. What the... Okay, I guess you know what? The Dwinin does have reach. So there is that. Wow! Amazing! That was ridiculous. Wow. The Pridemate grows too? That was insane. And I will trade the Pridemate for the Dwinin. Wow, what a turn that was. That's my only other angel. And the Helpful Hunter pumping the Pridemate was also very, very nice. I feel like they might have to block. I mean, I guess they don't have to, but... Okay, well, we're all in on this Pridemate. Get in for as much damage as we possibly can. And now we have a 3/4 flyer. Hungry Ghoul can also attack pretty reasonably, maybe. Well, I guess I can make it into a 3/3. I need to get this Dwinin off the battlefield somehow. A second Sylvan Scavenging? Wow. They should put a counter on Dwinin. Okay. Let's see. If I loot, this becomes a 3/3. And then I can sack a Helpful Hunter. That's not particularly strong. So off this board, it felt like they had a trick too, but now they have Sylvan Scavenging going. So that's also very problematic. I feel like I get blown out by a bounce spell here too. I don't know. I feel like I need to do something. I need to attack. Okay, you know what? That was about as good of a draw as I could hope for. The question now becomes, do I sack two things? It's a pretty big cost. But I think it's worth it. And I will sack the Giada. Wait, why do I have a mana in my pool? Oh, my Giada tapped. Yep. This is fine. The thing is, I thought they had this anyways. And now we got it out of their hand, but... Oh, God, Sylvan Scavenging. Sylvan Scavenging is dumb. It's really, really dumb. And they did it... Here's the crazy part about what's happening here. Is they only did it for 3 mana. Oh, God. So they have another 4 mana spell here. It could be another Uncharted Voyage. It's a big fin bouncer, okay? What do you bounce? These creatures are enormous! Gosh, what do I even do? Yeah, this is too much. You know, it was looking good until they played the second Sylvan Scavenging. All right. Well, let's I don't know. I mean, it's like they have Sylvan Scavenging. Do I have answers to Sylvan Scavenging? White gives me the answer. I'm also on the play, so Refute gives me an answer. All right, let's go to the blue, I guess, and just kind of try to fly over. They didn't have that much removal. Oh no, they had the bounce, so the Sky Mage isn't as good either. So we'll do something like that. Cut this. And then we will play the Banishing Light just because of the Sylvan Scavenging. And play a similar setup to what we had before. 14, 15, 16, 17. And, you know, despite having more black symbols, I think it's pretty important to get the Refute going early. So I'm actually going to go for the extra blue source here. And then I just need to find one more card to put into this deck. Noting that the Fake Your Own Death is not as good in this configuration, but it's pretty good with the Tragic Banshees. Oh, there's also Consuming Aberration. I forgot about. I think that card's going to be pretty good here. Let's not get too crazy with the time stop. I guess Infestation Sage isn't that great. This is a slower matchup where, you know, honestly, if I have a bunch of these lands, it's fine. Wow, they have double Sylvan Scavenging and Leyline X. I love Seal Deck. I love it. I can't even counter it. What the heck? Am I just dead? Am I just dead to Wary Thespian Leyline X? Could be. This is ridiculous. This is actually ridiculous. Man. All right. Yep, we're just definitely dying to turn 1 Leyline X Wary Thespian. I will say, I think this is probably my least favorite card that they printed. To make a Leyline that is a limited bomb feels like a mistake. It feels like an absolute horrible, horrible mistake. Well, who's playing this card? I mean, I guess if it's good and constructed, maybe then you can justify it. But the play pattern for this is so awful. If your opponents ever have... This is the single highest win rate card in Limited, by the way. If you have it in your opening hand. Unsurprisingly. It's just like, there's just no counterplay. Other than having a pile of removal spells. But if I just play creatures and combat tricks, good luck. I'm at 4. Oh my. Look, the thing is, this would have been a totally fine game if they just played play the creatures, right? They're just gonna bounce my Banshee and it's over. Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. You know what? Not all videos can go well. We've done super, super well in all of our limited draft videos. Really well. I have a really high win rate. I'm very, very happy with that. And then we also did well at the qualifier weekend for Constructed. The only thing that I've been getting absolutely wrecked in is Sealed Deck. But what can I do when that's the competitive format that allows me to earn gems? Or packs, or booster boxes. You know? It is what it is. Alright. Turn 1, Infestation Sage into turn 2, Hungry Ghoul. We have this Dreadwing Scavenger. We have a few ways to cast it. 3 lands that help us cast it. And then we have... I should have attacked first, whatever. I mean, they're not Burst Lightning. To be fair, like, they're not really ever going to cast Burst Lightning on Infestation Sage. It does feel like they have Burst Lightning, though. Better wait till my end of step in case I play a free card. Pilfer? Sure. Okay. Well, I basically have nothing now. Alright, well, Phyrexian Arena means I gotta run out this pup and just beat down. And that's more lands. Oof. Oof. It is rough. This is a rough world we live in. A very, very rough world. We really needed to find some kind of creature there to continue pressuring my opponent for playing Phyrexian Arena. But instead, there were many lands in our future, unfortunately. So, yep. I don't know. Burglar Rat, sure. I will play it. Maybe I should have let the trade happen. That is interesting, right? Wow. So wait, my opponent went Burst Lightning, Pilfer, so red card, black card, double black card on turn 3, and they're playing a 4-color deck. Let's hope. My hope here is that I am able to squeeze just enough damage through where Phyrexian Arena, they just died to their Phyrexian Arena. Oh my gosh. Lathril. Okay. It's another Burst Lightning, I guess. What are you splashing? Maybe you're splashing Burst Lightning. Maybe you're actually black-green. Regardless, Lathril isn't a particularly strong card. Okay. Cat Collector. Wow. Yeah. So they're splashing cat. I don't know. They're just all the colors. Gonna make this attack and hope that Tragic Banshee does something good here. I guess I kill... What do I kill? Oh, that's way better for me. That's also fine. That's less good, but I guess that's, you know... I get to kill the 2 annoying creatures in play this way. And I get a flyer. So let's get Lathril off the battlefield. They go up to 13. And we still have to fight through an arena, which I don't think we'll be able to do. And if I lose this game, I'm still going to keep this deck, game 1. Just because I feel like their deck is so clunky to the point where I can just get an aggressive draw and beat them that way. Nope, they have a Wrath. Okay, you know, I'm gonna keep playing just to get more information on their deck. So they are, it looks like a black-white. I'm not even gonna try anymore. Why do I try? What's the point of trying? Alright, here we go. So they're a black-white deck, splashing green for Lathril, and burst lightning for red. Okay. So that's the other burst lightning. That is a treetop snare spinner. Okay. Still fishing for information here. I mean, they have a lot of powerful cards. Why didn't they use the snare? They must have another play. What the hell? Why is this in your... Okay. All right, I've seen enough. Well, you know what? Let's play out a couple more turns. Why not? I will say equipment is definitely worse when they just have all removal spells. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, they have a lot of removal. But we're dead next turn. Also, they didn't use their snare spinner. All right. Yeah, so let's go with, especially on the play, let's go with the most aggressive configuration of this deck. Do something like this. Play this. Divine Resilience for... the problem is this doesn't even work against Blasphemous Edict, which is really unfortunate. All right, let's take a look here and see what's good and what's bad. I just have nothing important to save. I'd rather just have the Katana to make it so that I can attack through things. And I guess the Reinforcements is still probably the worst creature that I have here. So something like this. All right. Although the Reinforcements is pretty good against spot removal, I will say. All right, on the play here. All right, good curvy hand. Infestation Sage into Hungry Ghoul into Dazzling Angel. Certainly very good against the clunker that is our opponent's deck. I'm not running out the Primate yet. I want to... If I play the Angel and then the Primate after, it still puts the counter on the Primate. And this also means that I can get in for a potentially bigger attack next turn. Of course, they have the Pilfer, which means they're going to take the Angel. Sure. Okay, Giada's the play from the opponent. Diagraph Goal. You know, they actually have a lot... They have a lot of cheap cards. Pretty surprising. I am okay with this. I kind of want to keep the pup because I have the Banshee, right? So... Kill the flyer. Then we can still start. We can still get in with this creature. I don't really want to trade Diagraph Ghoul for Hungry Ghoul. Alright, let's just hope they don't play Blasphemous Edict. I need to be mindful of that card and not overextend a little too hard. Alright, they could have Eaten Alive. Cat Collector is certainly very strong. Yep. Yeah, the Cat Collector is insane here. Just to have this big bot, like I can't actually attack into it unless I drew Fake Your Own Death or an equipment. So gonna keep this land in my hand in case they have Burglar Rat. But the plan here is to go Mischievous Pup. Wow, they even had the land. Really good sequencing from the opponent. Can't say that I love their build necessarily, but I will say that they've been sequencing things pretty well. It looks like they have a removal spell here, which is really great for me because I have this Mischievous Pup and I can use it to say it. The thing is, like, most likely they're gonna go after my Tragic Banshee here. So I think this is an Eaten Alive. Just cast it. Just spend all your mana. Unless, do they have 2 spell? I guess they have a Burst Lightning too. So they could have Eaten Alive plus Burst Lightning, and they're trying to figure out in their heads how to kill both of these. That's the only reason why it's taking them so long, in my opinion. But at least from what we've seen. All right, so they choose to do nothing. Okay. Like, otherwise there would be no reason to... Okay, yeah, it's a Burst Lightning. Sure, that's all it was. Let's get this blocker out of the way and get in for 4 damage. Now let's see if they actually have Eaten Alive. If they do, I'm kind of out of gas, right? If they... Oh, they do! I knew it! I knew it. Yeah, that's why I saved the Banishing Light. And those are not good times to draw lands. There is your Lathril. Okay. Not ideal. Nine. Okay. Yeah, we've drawn just a few too many more lands than our opponents. Oh, this is a beating. They have the Tragic Banshee for the pup. Yeah, I mean, double blocking the Lathril would have been pretty bad too. Yeah. So this was just an instance where, you know, we got a lot of value out of the cards that we had. It's just... We also just, you know, drew one too many lands, probably. I'm going to kill the Lathril. Just because that's the thing that's generating them tokens. Yeah, if they just draw 6 lands and all removal spells, there's not much I can do, right? It's close. It was close, but then their Tragic Banshee with the extra Burst Lightnings made it really tough, and then we've hit 10 lands. All right, you know what? I'm done. I am officially done with Foundation Seal deck. I can't figure it out. I can't figure it out. There were a lot of different ways to go, I suppose, with this. We went 1 and 3, which is just laughably bad. When I look at my deck, it looks fine. Right? Burglar Rats and Helpful Hunters with Hungry Ghouls to sacrifice them to pump this up. Vampire Nighthawk is fine. I had Mischievous Pup to bounce my Hunters and Burglar Rats and Tragic Banshees. I had a little bit of removal, but probably not enough. I had a great curve. But it didn't really matter. Just everything died. Everything died. And even if I tried going, in the few instances where I tried drafting the control deck or playing the control deck, we ran into the Leyline Axe, which I couldn't do much about, or I ran into the deck that had the double Sylvan Scavenging. Oh no, that was the same deck. The blue-green opponent, I feel like there was a game that they got that I should have won. But outside of that, I just don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just overvaluing the white cards. I just like the fact that it had a nice curve with Giada, Dazzling Angel. We had some mild life gain synergies with the Pride Mate. We had the Felidar Savior. We had a Banishing Light. These are all just top quality cards. Maybe I'm supposed to just play the Chandra no matter what. But just when I look at the red, it just looks so underwhelming. That's the thing. It's disheartening. It's disheartening because it's like, what have I not figured out about this sealed format that's giving me so many more problems than it has for other people? Because I am, like I said, I am getting demolished in this format. So, but it's just one of those things. You can't win all of them. I thought my black was a very solid base to start with, right? This is a really good base. Really good 11 cards. And I just couldn't really figure out what the proper color to pair with the black was. I went with the white, but it was just really hard for me to put enough pressure on my opponent. My opponent just always just stayed at a high enough life total, and then they just overpowered me. In which case, perhaps the best thing to do was my initial build, and I just, I almost won that first game, and I lost to a Leyline Axe. Those are both a long game where there was slight error maybe in sequencing my lands, and then a death to Leyline Axe probably shouldn't be the reason to dissuade me from going into what might have been the best color combination, right? So I think this was it. Going back and forth on it, with the loss, I did let that cloud my judgment on what to actually end up going, but looking back at this, it does feel like this deck seems about right. I don't love the mana curve. It's kind of high. We have 6/2s, but we have a lot of 5s as well. But it's got a lot of power. It's got a decent number of removal. It's got refutes. I feel like I can be tricky enough with this deck where I can maybe cobble together a way to win, whereas I don't know if that's the case with the black-white deck. Anyways, that's going to be it for me. I tried to win a bunch of gems, but we didn't. But it is what it is. It is what it is. I tried to win a bunch of gems, but we were not able to get there. We still, that I'm down 50,000 gems because of Foundation Seal, by the way. But anyways, we're going to go home with 1,000 gems. That is all. Best of luck to everybody else in the qualifier weekend. That'll be it for me for today. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, as I really do appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for more daily videos just like this. If you've enjoyed this content and wanted to support the channel in another way, my Patreon is the best way to do so. That's patreon.com/paulcheon. Additionally, check out tcgplayer.com for all your TCG singles and sealed product needs. Make sure you click that affiliate link in the description below before making any purchases. Last but not least, check out heavyplay.com for premium Magic the Gathering supplies and accessories. If you want top-of-the-line deck boxes, playmats, sleeves, dice boxes, and more, go to heavyplay.com/paulcheon for 10% off your first order. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.